Hello everyone, this is Peter Valencia with Cigar Accessories, and I'm here today. We're going to do a review. The last one that we did was of the Davidoff Winston Churchill, a Churchill size cigar. Today we have the Davidoff Winston Churchill Late Hour in Churchill size, which is 7 inches and a 49 ring gauge. The wrapper is Ecuadorian, the binder is Mexican and from Dominican Republic, and the filler is from Nicaragua. So it'll be interesting to try, and I'm excited. I've never had this cigar before, so let's go ahead and try it today. We're going to use our little ZZZGAR cigar rest. The base of it is a cigar punch and a bottle opener, so we're going to use that to punch the cap of our cigar. And as you can see, created a perfect punch. We're going to use our ZZZGAR lighter, not a sponsor. I just enjoy their lighters and their accessories. So we're going to go ahead and use that to toast the foot. If you're new to cigar smoking, when you light a cigar, you don't want to hold the flame all too close and end up blackening the entire length of your cigar. But you basically just use the hottest part of the flame, which is the edge, to toast the foot and to get it lit. And then you have a nice cigar ready to smoke. Very, very easy draw on this. I'm not feeling any resistance whatsoever, which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing in a sense. But with that being said, it would probably smoke rather quickly. According to the Davidoff website, which you can find more information about this cigar on, but according to that website, it says that this is approximately a 65-minute smoke. So we'll go ahead and see how long it takes for us to smoke this cigar, and I'll let you know at the very end. While it is different from a regular Churchill, Winston Churchill that I had previously, you can tell already just from the initial few draws, it has a little bit of a spice to it. Nothing bad, it's just very minimal spice, a little bit more of a flavor profile in terms of it not being as mild as the one before. A little bit of a leathery taste, but pretty enjoyable so far. We'll see. But as you know, if you watched the other review, or if you've watched any reviews at all on cigars, basically when they're graded or when they're reviewed, they go by thirds. So this would be the first third, that would be the second third, this middle portion, and then this would be the third third or the last third. So I do feel a little bit more spice on the tongue compared to the previous one that I did have. A little bit of a leather taste. I think I mentioned that already. I can feel the spice kind of traveling from the tip of my tongue almost towards the back sides, and then I could feel it kind of on the back of my throat a little bit. Generally, people draw as often as they feel comfortable. I'm just going to touch up this cigar. But usually they say it's between 30 to 60 seconds when you take another draw on your cigar. You do it as often as you feel comfortable doing. I was doing it to try and catch up the burn on the bottom part. Now, I will, I guess, throw myself under the bus here. Unfortunately, when I was preparing everything to sit out here and enjoy this cigar, I did drop this cigar. And I hate that I did it because I have never had this before, this cigar. So I don't think that affected the quality of the draw, but it is quite possible. Unfortunately, you can see right here, it did split it, which I'm not sure if it's more so the shock or just the cigar itself. I had it humidified. It's been in my humidor for 3 weeks about. I did purchase it from a local wine store which has a large walk-in humidor. Well, I shouldn't say just wine store. The store is called Total Wine. Again, not a sponsor. But I went there and noticed that they had a Davidoff selection in their walk-in humidor, which is well humidified and everything's preserved the best possible way that you could. So it is properly humidified, but I think the shock when it fell, I cringed so hard when that happened. I hate that happened. I really do. Now, if you smoke enough cigars, you can generally get the gist or get the idea of when a cigar contains certain tobaccos from a certain region. You can start to recognize that taste. I've had quite a few cigars since I started smoking. I've been smoking since I was about 18. It's about 12 years. I'm 30 now. But basically, like I was saying, you could taste the cigars or tobacco from the different regions. And you could even start to get more specific in tastes how the soil was kind of prepared. It's similar to wine in the sense that as they prepare the soil, certain nutrients are added to it, and you can kind of pick that up sometimes in the smoke that you're tasting. Now, it may just be me, but I have had a few cigars lately that have incorporated Nicaraguan tobacco. And I can taste that. It tastes similar to the other cigars that I've had that have that same type of tobacco that is used as the filler in this cigar. So I can recognize that tobacco. Please forgive me if the audio is slightly loud with the background noise, but there is a major airport near here and they fly by approximately every 10 minutes, so hopefully it's not too loud. Go ahead and set this cigar down for a second. This is our ZZZGAR cigar rest in the shape of a golf ball. We do have 26 other designs. This is the first of our design. It is made out of solid aluminum, and the base is made out of solid stainless steel. It's one piece. There is a magnet that has been added so that way you can stick it to any metal surface. Now, I've heard a few people comment on this cigar, and they have stated that it's a great cigar to pair with a whiskey or a bourbon. I do not have any by chance here with me. I was thinking about possibly pairing it with a whiskey, an American whiskey, but I wasn't quite sure. I kind of wanted to be able to taste this on its own without having an influence of anything else. But obviously, as if you've watched reviews before, you know that certain pairings can bring out other notes that you may not have been able to initially recognize. So, I mean, this may be worth trying again just to see what else I can taste from the flavors by having a drink or a whiskey or a brandy or a cognac or something with it. A little bit of a nut taste, faint taste of kind of like a walnut. At least that's what I'm getting. Maybe a little bit of a cocoa taste. Now, I am using a few different items here that I use at least to enjoy when I come out here and smoke cigars. Right now we're on my little balcony area, and I've enclosed this to basically allow me to smoke cigars through the winter. Right now it is probably about the middle of February, I should say. Yeah, about the middle, I believe. Today is the 16th, I believe, of February. So it is a little chilly, at least here. We are in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm not originally from here. I'm originally from California, but I have lived here for approximately the past 10 years or so. In terms of weather, it's supposed to get up to about 40, 44. When I came out here, it's 29. So this enclosure here, I think I've mentioned it previously, but in other videos, but this enclosure, it will drop the temperature down at least 10, 15, or I'm sorry, it should allow it to be 10 to 15 degrees warmer, not drop it down. So it kind of withstands the cold and the breeze and everything, and allows people to come out here and kind of just enjoy having a cigar or a drink or whatever, and not be completely cold. But I do have this chair that I'm sitting in. It's a zero gravity recliner. I have a little table stand here, as well as a little ashtray here, kind of like a car transport ashtray that I use for cigars. But it's nice. But anyways, if you're interested in any of that, I have all of it linked down below that you could easily find for yourself. So. A hint of a slight floral taste right there when I was doing the retro hell. Retro hell is basically when you draw in the smoke of the cigar. Again, you don't inhale it, but you draw it in, kind of let it swirl around your mouth a little bit, and you exhale it or blow the smoke out. Before you exhale every bit of smoke, you hold just a little bit and force it through your nose. So you basically close your throat and you exhale through your nose, and that allows you to use the senses inside your nose to taste the different notes of the cigar. Same thing that happens when you're eating. You can taste the different things when you eat and the flavors and whatnot. Right now going on over in Havana is a big cigar event, basically kind of celebrating Cuban cigars. That would be a lovely, lovely event to go to right now, especially with the weather being how cold it is here. It would be quite enjoyable to be in Cuba, just so that way you could experience that warmer weather. It's always interesting to see what people do when they smoke cigars or what they enjoy doing. When I get together with a few of my friends, we'll have some bourbons or whiskeys and just kind of sit and talk and have music playing usually. If you follow me on Instagram, which is the name of the company, ZZZGAR, sometimes you'll see some photos of me out here just listening to some music, having a cigar and a drink, just kind of enjoying the space out here. But it's always neat to see how people like to spend their time. You know, cigar smoking is a hobby that is relaxing to me, and everybody that I've talked to and who has ever commented on having a cigar, they have found it to be pretty much completely relaxing. You know, it's something to help them get away from the daily stresses that they have in their life, and you know, or just something to kind of break apart the day, especially if you have multiple cigars throughout the day, or you know, that you can have a smaller one for breakfast, or in between, like your lunch break, or later in the evening to kind of finish a meal. A little bit of a pepper taste, not too much. It's very, very faint, very faint. Kind of like a cracker taste. So far, this is pretty enjoyable. I like how they made the little silhouette of Winston Churchill for the band. It's pretty cool. Hopefully that comes in on the video, but it's pretty neat. Not a bad cigar. But yeah, it's always interesting to me seeing the different photos that people put up on social media when they're enjoying a cigar. Sometimes they'll be having a book by their side, like they'll be reading. Again, some of these are probably staged, but you know, some people are reading or having a cup of coffee. I'll be honest, that is something I have yet to try. I have yet to try coffee while smoking a cigar. I am intrigued to try that though. I would like to try that. Especially an espresso. That seems like it would pair pretty well. You got a little bit of a bitter taste with the espresso, and then whatever that you might have in the cigar itself, I'm sure would pair quite well. In a recent video that I put together, just kind of like a parody video sort of, I went over basically talking about the quality of people having accessories and getting started in this industry of just kind of enjoying cigars, or basically getting inside this hobby, I should say. It's an expensive habit in a sense, but it doesn't have to be. But I was just kind of poking fun at, you know, you see a lot of people where they have their fancy coffee machines or anything, you know, little accessories and whatnot, and it's kind of funny. It's, to me, I use a French press. It's a cheaper one that I picked up, and it works great. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's interesting to see how other people make their coffees and whatnot. And for that one, I purposely had coffee grounds in my cup when I took a drink of it. And, oh, that tasted horrible. That was horrible, drinking coffee grounds. Oh my God. I know some people put that like on desserts, kind of sprinkle a few little bits of coffee or cocoa beans, or coffee beans I should say. I've had that and it tastes pretty decent, but when you drink just a mouthful of coffee grounds, it's horrible. Last time I did a review, it was Super Bowl weekend, and the Rams were playing the Patriots, and I tried to go with the underdog. The underdog in that one was technically the Rams. The Rams had not won a Super Bowl in I don't know how many years. It's been quite a long time. But it was a back and forth game, definitely it was, and I'm not trying to do a sport review or anything like that, but just for conversation's sake, if you happen to watch the game, you'll know what I mean. It was pretty slow, and then it was kind of like a back and forth just for a little bit, and then the Patriots again came out on top, and good for them. You know, they've been quite consistent over the years and have been able to win back to back to back, and it's just it's quite amazing. It really is that they were able to accomplish that so many times. Quite a bit of smoke. Quite a bit of smoke coming through this cigar. Not bad. I am approaching almost the second third. I'm about maybe half an inch away from starting the second third right here. So it'll be interesting. I don't live too far from where the expressway is here in town, so that's some of the background noise you might be picking up. Hopefully it's not too loud, but I'm fascinated with cars. I really am. I just love everything about them. But it makes me think of like how I got started with motor operated vehicles in a sense. As a kid, my dad and I we built a go-kart, and you know, for some people that's kind of how they got started. It was more so my dad. I was only in third grade, so I could only do so much, just kind of helping out. But it was really fun to put that together. We ended up, well, he did, but it was mostly him, but I did some stuff. But he built the frame of the go-kart. What we would do is, rather than buying a kit to put it all together, which you can find, you know, on the internet now, but back then we didn't have the internet, so everything was kind of like mail order. And we found this local motorcycle shop that had a few go-karts out in the front. So every so many weekends we would go over there and kind of take some measurements of their go-karts and the frames and see how they put it all together and kind of get an idea. And then we would go back home and, you know, over time slowly built the go-kart, and we got it to the point to where it was finished, and we got to drive it, and my sister and I would drive it around the yard, and it was pretty fun. It was funny because it was a single wheel drive, so basically the motor only spun one wheel and the other rear wheel was just kind of free spinning. So one side, basically the driver's side, the engine was right behind the driver. It was a two-seater go-kart, but the driver side tire on the rear would go bald a lot faster because when you step on it, it would just spin the tire and then you finally take off. It was funny. The tire was completely bald by the time that we got done riding that thing over the years. It was hilarious. That eventually led into getting a larger go-kart with that was built with a small motorcycle engine, basically a 90cc engine, and the go-kart that was pretty fast, but it was built to have the off-road suspension, so you can go off of little hills and dirt jumps and everything, and it would still land pretty hard, but it had a little bit of a give to it, so you wouldn't just be bouncing around completely. But I remember The day I had got it was for Christmas, and our family had 5 acres at that time. So all the family, the extended family, was coming over to all kind of have fun and just, ride go-karts and whatnot out around the property. And as we were riding around, some more family started to show up. So I went and was going to go pick up my cousin. Now, I hadn't been on the go-kart for more than 5 minutes, just kind of getting used to it. And when I went to go pick him up, he was in the driveway, and I went and I was going to go kind of whip the go-kart around. Well, I hadn't really got a hold of the center of gravity idea. So rather than turning towards my left to whip the weight around of the go-kart, I turned towards my right, and all the weight was on my side. So the back picked up, the front tire pinched into the dirt, and I completely flipped over. It had seatbelts in it, and I was hanging upside down completely, and my ankle was cocked at an angle where my foot was stuck between the brake and the frame of the go-kart. I'm so surprised that I didn't break my ankle or anything like that, but I took my boot off, and my foot was completely purple, and my hand was kind of scraped up a little bit. I did not break a bone, but it kind of freaked me out, because I was hanging upside down. Here comes gas dripping out of the engine right by my head down onto the ground. I was like, holy cow. I got out of that thing. Everybody was freaking out. I was glad I was okay. Nobody got hurt. I didn't get hurt. The go-kart was okay, just a little scratched up. But man, that was crazy. It's kind of funny, the things that you remember, the things that happen, I think I was 15 or 16. No, I was 17, because we had moved over to that area where that property was when I was 17. So that was pretty crazy. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. That was one of the things I really wanted to get into, was racing go-karts, like on the track, asphalt tracks. I really wanted to get into doing Formula One racing. I thought that would have been so fun, or some type of IndyCar racing. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that in my life, but you never know. You never know what happens, but it'd be interesting for sure. I would love to do that. Or even now they have the factory racing, where everybody on the field is racing either a Porsche or Lamborghini or Ferrari or BMW or whatever. It's just manufacturer, basically. That would be pretty neat too. There's some beautiful cars that they race out there. I'm sure if you have the sponsorship and everything to do it, it's a pretty fun thing, it looks like. That's one thing I'm really interested in, is Formula One racing. And next month is March, and it'll be the start of the new season for 2019. And I'm a fan of, I might get some flack for this, but I'm a fan of a few different teams. Mercedes-AMG Petronas, and they won the Constructors' Championship, and Lewis Hamilton won his 5th championship last year. So it'd be interesting to see what he and Valtteri Bottas do for 2019 for sure. I do like other teams. I was a fan of Kimi Räikkönen when he raced for Ferrari, but now I believe, who did he get moved to? Sauber? I think that's who he got moved to. He used to race for them years ago. So he's kind of going back to one of the first few teams he got started with. I was a fan of, or still am a fan of, also Daniel Ricciardo. His name's Ricciardo, but pronounces it Ricciardo. He's Australian. He used to race for Red Bull last year, but now I believe he transferred over to Renault. So he's going to be racing for them this season. So it'll be interesting, which is kind of funny because the issue last season was with Honda, and they had an issue with their motors. And now Danny Rick is going to be racing with the Honda motors, so that'll be interesting for sure to see what comes of that. He's a very good driver, I would say. One of the top three, I believe. So. Yeah, we're coming into the second third. This still has the same flavor, still pretty consistent going through. There's another taste I'm trying to pick out. This does have more flavor than the other Winston Churchill, just the regular version, I should say. That one also had an Ecuadorian wrapper. That one was a lot more mild. This one I would say is more of a medium cigar. And what that basically means is that it's not so much a bland cigar, and I hate to use that term because that kind of has a negative connotation to it, and I don't want to say that the other cigar was bland. It was just more mild than it was classed as having an intense flavor profile, but I personally don't believe so. I will have to try another one just to see, if it's consistent with the one that I had or not. But this one does seem to have more flavor than the other one, and I enjoy this one a little bit more than the other one. If I want a mild cigar, I wouldn't mind trying the other one again, but this one I can see myself smoking more regularly. Now we're approaching the last third. I did remove the second band on the cigar. Another note that I did pick up as I was going through the second third was a little bit of hint of coffee, a little bit of a coffee flavor. Not too much, but again, just a little bit of a lighter flavor to kind of bring it in with the rest of it. You still get a little bit of a cocoa kind of a taste to it, and you kind of get a little bit of hint of, if you've had different bourbons or whiskeys, mostly bourbons, you get kind of that darker charcoal kind of a flavor. You're not so much getting that, like a charcoal taste, but you do get somewhat of a similar feel of what you might have when you taste a bourbon. It's pretty decent. It's tolerable. Nothing bad to say about it whatsoever. It's again, still an enjoyable cigar. It is getting a little warmer out here finally. I just checked. It's approximately 39 degrees, so it's at least outside. It's increased about 10 degrees since I've been sitting here and I first had come out here. I am on the corner of my building, so I do get a little bit of a breeze that wraps around when it comes around the building, but it's not too bad. Again, with the enclosure, it helps kind of cut down the breeze. But I don't know if it picks it up on camera, but as I'm talking, I can see a little bit of the steam coming out from my breath because it's chilly out here, but it's okay. I have layers on. Might need to relight. When you relight, people do it different ways. Sometimes you go around just the edge of the cigar itself. I like to go around the edge of it just to kind of toast it, and then I'll go in the center of the cigar where the ash had fallen off or where I had tapped it off, just to kind of reignite everything on the foot of the cigar. As you can see, it's all a nice white ash. I noticed as I was going through, hopefully it didn't show too much in the video, but it has a very light ash, and what I mean by that is as you're smoking it, little flakes will easily fall off, and again, if you tap the cigar to lose the ash, it comes off very easily, and that's not bad at all. It's, you know, it's pretty decent, even though that's happening like that. It's fine. You just kind of got to watch as you're smoking where the ash is going. I do know that after I got past that part of the foot where I had dropped the cigar, unfortunately, it has tightened up the draw a little bit. So I think that was probably causing the very loose draw at the beginning that I noticed. But now it's tightened up a little bit, and it's a lot better. So I'll put it that way. And it's still a very solid cigar. It's nice and firm throughout. Not so firm to where you're touching it. It's like a rock hard kind of a feel. Some cigars that I've felt prior to smoking, you'll feel that it's very solid, very hard feeling. And sometimes that does affect the draw just based on how the cigar was rolled. But a lot of times it'll still be okay. Even though it has a very firm feel to it, this has a little give to it. It's nice and soft, not so soft to where you're squishing it and you're touching both fingers together, but it's got a little give to it to where it's nice and soft, and obviously humidification does affect that. So I mean, if you keep your cigars well humidified and you rotate them, then they will have that nice soft fresh feel to it. It's a very nice cigar. It really is. I mean, I'm enjoying this cigar quite a bit. The wrapper is nice. It's a nice wrapper. You can see a little bit of the veins on the cigar. I mean, on the wrapper itself, it's not bad. I mean, it's still a very nice looking cigar. It's well put together. Davidoff, as I said in the previous video on the other review, they are a premium cigar. They're a higher end cigar, and they take pride in their construction as well as in their flavors. I have not had a bad one. I really haven't. I've tried about, I think maybe 5 of their different cigars. I think I mentioned it in the last video. I had the 50-year anniversary. I've had the Escurio, the Florida selection, the other Winston Churchill, this Winston Churchill late hour. Excuse me. I've had the 2009 Puro Dominicano or Dominicana. It's basically the pure Dominican cigar that they made in 2009. I've had that. I've had their smaller, little, short, I don't know if they refer to them as cigarillos or not, but I think it's the platinum. It comes in a little metal case. I've had one of those. Those are pretty decent for kind of like a quick break time cigar in a sense. Those take about 10 to 15 minutes to smoke. Not too bad. Pretty decent. Let's see if I can take this one. Second band off. Yep, it slides right off. So we're coming on the last third, as I had mentioned, of this cigar. As we're getting down, you can taste a little bit more of a spice kind of finishing. If you smoke too hard on a cigar, you can create a bitter taste, which is pretty common on people kind of rushing through their cigars. This is more of kind of like a spice, just a little bit of a spice. It's not overpowering or anything like that. Some cigars are known for that spice, that full-bodied kind of a flavor. A couple brands that I enjoy are La Flor Dominicana, LFD, and the My Father cigars, or the Don Pepin Garcia. Don Pepin Garcia, when they first got started, they came out with the black label Don Pepins, and originally those were very full-bodied, a lot of spice, and they still are. Some of their other lines are not as full-bodied, more medium to full-body, so you don't get as much of a strong kind of a flavor profile. But some people prefer that. I generally, if I'm going to have multiple cigars in a day, I'll go where I start with maybe a medium cigar, maybe mild to medium, and then I'll go from medium to full, or a full-bodied cigar as my second or third cigar. Generally, I'll usually have a couple cigars. So I also enjoy the Padron cigars. Those are great cigars. So you have the 1926 and the 1964, both great cigars. That spice is mellowing out just a little bit. A little bit of a floral taste still. It's kind of still have that faint kind of a cracker taste to it. If I had to grade this cigar as far as I've gotten so far, I would say construction, it's built quite well. I would give that at least, I'd say at least a 9. It's built quite well. No issues with the wrapper or with the draw or anything like that. Structure and construction of it, it's put together quite well. The flavor, like I was saying, it has more flavor than the other Winston Churchill little cigar. So I would give that, I would say probably for flavor, 9.5. It's pretty decent for what it is. You have to take into consideration the style of cigar in the sense of, are you smoking a mild cigar? Are you smoking a medium? Are you smoking a full body? I mean, you don't want to grade something comparing it to all the other cigars if it's not even in the same class. So with this being more of a medium style cigar, I would say it is about a 9.5. So overall, I would give it a 9.25 for the full ranking of this cigar. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I would say if you are a fan of Davidoffs, or if you have never tried one, I'd say it is definitely worth trying both the Winston Churchill and this late hour cigar. If you like a little bit more flavor, I would go with the late hour, the one that we're smoking here today. It will give you a little bit more notes in terms of, you'll have the cocoa, a little bit of a coffee flavor, a little bit of a cracker taste, and just a very, very light hint of spice. So hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you did, just let me know below in the comments, and there'll be more reviews to come of different types of cigars. And again, I'm Peter Valencia from ZZZGAR, ZZZGAR Cigar Accessory Products. You can find us on Instagram at ZZZGAR. ZZZGAR basically is how we say it. And you could also find us here on YouTube. So you can see us on our website if you want to get a closer look at this product right here. It's ZZZGAR.com. and you can get a better idea of everything that we have on there. We also have a few other products and a few other cigar accessories that will be coming out soon, a few other designs as well. So again, thank you for watching our review and watching our video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.